You think struggle is your enemy? Struggle is your gift. You trying to avoid it. You praying it away. But let me tell you something. The reason you're not growing, the reason you keep going in circles is because you're trying to live easy, trying to dodge the pain, trying to live smooth. And success doesn't live on easy street. It lives in the trenches. Let me be real with you. I didn't ask to be homeless. I didn't ask to eat out of a trash can. But that struggle, that pain, it built me. It gave me fire. It gave me focus. It gave me something no textbook, no mentor, no motivational quote ever could. Struggle teaches you what comfort never will. It teaches you how bad you really want it. It asks you, how much are you willing to bleed for the life you say you want? Some of y'all want the crown, but you don't want to carry the cross. You want to shine, but you don't want to grind. And life don't work like that. Nah, pressure made that. He made that struggle motive. So next time you feel like giving up, next time you're crying, tired, broke, empty, I want you to remember, this ain't punishment. It's preparation. You're being sharpened, stretched, strengthened. Don't waste it. Don't waste it. Don't pray for the strength to endure it. Because when you come out that fire, you don't just survive, you shine. You don't just walk, you lead. You don't just succeed, you inspire. Struggle's not the end. It's the beginning of your greatness. You think struggle is a curse. You think it's a punishment. But let me tell you something from experience. Struggle is a gift. Most people are out here asking for success, but they want it without the pain, without the sacrifice, without the process. It doesn't work like that. Struggle is not the thing that breaks you. It's the thing that builds you. Every time I hit rock bottom, every time I felt like giving up, every time life punched me in the gut, I found out what I was really made of. See, when everything is going good, everybody can smile, everybody can show up, everybody can be motivated. But when life knocks on your door and says, I'm taking your comfort, I'm taking your money, I'm taking your friends, what do you do then? That's when the real you shows up. That's when you meet the version of yourself you didn't even know existed. Struggle builds strength in silence. Who doesn't announce itself, creeps in, and starts tearing down the things that you thought were holding you up. It removes the excuses, silences the noise. It pulls the mask off and says, now let's see who you really are. That's what happened to me. I didn't ask to be homeless. I didn't ask to eat out of trash cans. I didn't ask for rejection, for loneliness, for nights crying myself to sleep. But it was in those moments when nobody was watching, when no camera was on, when no applause could be heard, that the foundation of my strength was being laid. Everybody wants the outcome, but they don't want the process. They want the results, but not the grind. But what I learned is that struggle doesn't take from you, it gives to you. It gives you clarity, it gives you grit, it gives you appreciation. When you've had nothing, you appreciate everything. When you've lost everything, you fight like hell. To fight like hell to never go back. The struggle gives you discipline because you realize nobody's coming to save you. You realize if it's gonna happen, it has to be you that makes it happen. And that kind of urgency, that kind of intensity can only be born in a hardship. You don't know what you're capable of until life demands it. You don't know how far you can go until going backwards is no longer an option. The struggle strips away the fluff. It strips away the laziness, the procrastination, the pride. It humbles you and hardens you at the same time. And that's what creates the beast. That's what creates the leader. That's what creates the version of you that can no longer be denied. See, we live in a world where people think struggle means something's wrong. But the truth is, if you're struggling, it means you're trying. It means you haven't given up. It means you're fighting for something. And let me tell you, if you're in that fight right now, if you're closer than you think, every tear you cry, every night you couldn't sleep, every time you felt like you had nothing left, but you kept moving, counts. That's fuel. That's evidence that you've got what it takes. Because the people who succeed aren't the ones who had it easy. They're the ones who refused to quit, no matter how hard it got. They're the ones who said, this may be my situation, but it's not my destination. They took the pain and turned it into power. They took the setback and turned it into a setup. You've got to stop looking at struggle like it's your enemy. Start seeing it as your training ground. Just like the gym, no resistance, no growth. If you want to build muscle, you've got to tear the fiber. If you want to build character, you've got to face adversity. That's the way life works. You're not supposed to feel good every day. You're not supposed to have it all figured out. You're supposed to fight, to wrestle, to fail, to wrestle, to fail, and to get back up stronger than before. That's how champions are made. Some of you are waiting for the pain to pass so you can get to the purpose. What you don't realize is the pain is the path to purpose. You're praying for strength, and God is giving you struggle. Don't reject it. Embrace it. Lean into it. Let it mold you. Let it develop you. Because when you come out of that storm, you're going to be a completely different person. Not just someone who survived, but someone who's dangerous, someone who can lead, someone who knows how to win, not because it was handed to them, but because they earned it with sweat, with grit, with tears, or with gut. Struggle is not there to destroy you. It's there to reveal you, to awaken you, to remind you that you're capable of so much more than you think. It's a gift. Maybe not the one you asked for, but the one you needed. Comfort is a trap. It whispers to you that everything's fine, that you don't need to push, that you can relax because nothing's wrong. But what comfort doesn't tell you is that while you're relaxing, somebody else is grinding, somebody else is sacrificing. Somebody else is out there getting better while you're staying the same. Comfort is where dreams go to die because it convinces you that average is good enough. It makes you believe that doing just enough to get by is a life well lived. But the truth is, comfort is the enemy of greatness. You will never rise while staying in the same place. You can't grow in the same environment that made you feel small. And you can't transform by doing what you've always done. You see, we've been told to chase happiness, to pursue peace, to avoid the hard stuff. But that's not where champions are made. That's not where leaders are born. Every person you admire, every story that moved you, every name that's remembered long after they're gone, they didn't find that legacy in a comfort zone. They found it in pain, in pressure, in persistence. Growth doesn't happen when it's easy. It happens when it's uncomfortable. When your back is against the wall and quitting would be easier than continuing, but you choose to keep going anyway. That's when something shifts inside you. That's when you realize you were built for more. And let's be real, comfort feels good. Comfort feels good. It's warm. It's safe. It doesn't ask anything from you. But that's also why it never gives you anything back. You stay in comfort long enough, and you start convincing yourself that this is all there is. You start shrinking your goals to fit your environment. You start settling. And once you settle, you stop fighting. You stop growing. You stop becoming. But greatness demands discomfort. It demands sacrifice. You have to be willing to risk embarrassment, to be misunderstood, to stumble and fall in public, and still show up the next day with the same intensity. That's how you grow. That's how you level up. I remember sleeping in abandoned buildings, feeling cold and hungry and forgotten. But that discomfort, it woke me up. It made me hungry not just for food, but for purpose, for meaning, for something bigger than survival. I didn't know back then that those hard nights were actually my foundation. That the struggle wasn't setting me back. It was setting me up. You don't build mental toughness by winning. You build it by losing and refusing to stay down. Every time life knocked me down, I stood up a little stronger, a little smarter, a little more determined. That's what discomfort does. Doesn't just hurt you, it owns you. And here's the part most people miss. Comfort never comes without a cause. You think you're avoiding pain by staying in your bubble, but you're just trading short-term ease for long-term regret. Because one day you'll wake up and realize that you played it too safe. You'll realize you never tested your limits, never took a risk, never bet on yourself. That kind of pain is worse than any failure because it's permanent. You can recover from failure. You can rebuild after loss. But you can't reclaim wasted time. You can't buy back years you spent playing small. You were never meant to live hidden, silent, or average. People ask me, hey, how do I change my life? The answer is simple, but not easy. You change it by getting uncomfortable. You change it by doing what others won't do. You change it by waking up earlier, staying up later, working while others are watching TV, studying while others are scrolling. You don't need more talent. You need more hunger. And hunger is born in discomfort. It's born when you stop running from hard things and start running toward them. When you realize that pressure isn't there to crush you, but to mold you. Look at nature. A seed has to break before it grows. A butterfly has to struggle out of its cocoon to fly. You have to go through something to become something. You have to experience friction to create momentum. And once you accept that, you stop fearing discomfort. You start chasing it. You start looking for the hard path because you know that's the one that leads to your next level. That's the path that builds character, discipline, vision, and faith. Not comfort, discomfort. You were not created to coast through life. You were created to conquer. And that means you have to train your mind to embrace the grind, to appreciate the process, to endure the setbacks, and to celebrate the growth that comes from pain. Because on the other side of discomfort is everything you've ever dreamed of. The success, the impact, the confidence, the freedom. But you'll never get there if you keep choosing comfort over calling. So today, choose the hard thing. Make the tough decision. Say no to the easy road. Step out of the shadows and into the fire. It might burn at first, but over time, it will refine you. It will shape you. Struggle creates clarity in a way that nothing else can. When life strips everything away, your comfort, your routine, your confidence, you're left face to face with the truth. There's no pretending when you're struggling. There's no faking strength when you're weak. No hiding your priorities when you're desperate. That's when everything comes into focus. You begin to see what really matters. You realize what you truly value, what you really want, and what you're willing to fight for. You start to separate the distractions from the essentials. Struggle removes the fluff. It silences the noise. It eliminates the fake friends, the empty habits, and the things that were never helping you in the first place. When you're in a battle, you don't have time for nonsense. You don't have the energy for drama. You don't chase approval or try to impress people. The struggle teaches you to value time, to respect effort, and to stop wasting your energy on things that don't move you forward. That's why I say the struggle is a gift. Because while most people are lost in a world of convenience and comfort, those who are in the trenches are finding themselves. They're discovering what they're made of. They're gaining perspective that you can't get from books, podcasts, or motivational quotes. That clarity only comes from pain, from pressure, from real life experience that cuts deep and demands answer. And the truth is, you don't really know what matters until you're forced to choose. When life hits you hard and you only have strength for one thing, you learn to prioritize. You learn what your purpose is, what your goals are, and who's really in your corner. That's something comfort will never teach you. When everything's going great, it's easy to lose direction. You start chasing things that don't align with your values. You start investing in people who wouldn't show up for you when it counts. Struggle reveals all of that. It makes you examine your decisions. It makes you reevaluate your circle, your mindset, your hustle. You realize that some things you were holding on to were actually holding you back. You realize that some of the things you thought were important really didn't matter at all. That's the clarity that comes from struggle. It simplifies your life. It sharpens your vision. It removes the extra so you can focus on the essential. You start asking different questions. You stop worrying about what people think and start thinking about who you're becoming. You stop chasing temporary highs and start building something lasting. You become intentional. You become focused. And most importantly, you become real. Because there's something powerful about hitting that low point and realizing that the only way out is through. That realization lights a fire in you. It changes the way you think, the way you move, the way you see everything. You stop waiting for the right time. You stop hoping someone's coming to fix it. You take ownership. And in that moment, when the struggle is still real and the outcome is still uncertain, you decide to rise anyway. That decision is everything. It's the moment you shift from surviving to striving, from drifting to driving. And it doesn't mean the pain goes away. It doesn't mean the obstacles disappear. But now you see them differently. They're no longer roadblocks, they're stepping stones. They're no longer your enemy. They're your training ground. That clarity gives you purpose. It gives your pain a reason. You start to understand that this isn't just happening to you, it's happening for you. That mindset is what separates the average from the elite. Most people stop when it gets hard. But the ones who make it, the ones who go the distance, they lean into the struggle because they know it's revealing something deeper, something stronger, something that was buried under years of comfort, fear, and doubt. And let me tell you, when you come through that fire, when you survive that season, the clarity you gain becomes your power. You're not easily shaken. You're not easily distracted. You're not moved by opinions or setbacks. You've been tested. You've been refined. You've learned to trust your gut, to listen to your instincts, to stay aligned with your purpose. And that's why people look at you differently. That's why your energy changes. Because you're not just living, you're living with direction, with intention, with purpose. So if you're in a struggle right now, don't rush through it. Don't wish it away. Let it teach you. Let it refine you. Let it show you what matters. Because when the dust settles and the pain fades, what you'll be left with is a version of you that's clearer, wiser, stronger, and more focused than ever before. And that version of you will move differently, think differently, live differently. That clarity will guide you long after the struggle ends. It will become your compass, your standard, your foundation. Struggle fuels motivation in a way comfort never can. When everything is going right, it's easy to become complacent. It's easy to lose that fire, to take the blessings for granted, to go through the motions without any urgency. But when you're struggling, when your back is against the wall, when the bills are due and the opportunities are slim, when you're tired, hungry, and hurting, that's when a different kind of energy wakes up inside of you. That's when motivation becomes more than just a mood or a moment. It becomes your survival. It becomes your reason for getting out of bed, for fighting through exhaustion, for pushing when there's nothing left to push with. That kind of motivation is born in pressure, in pain, in adversity. It's not surface level, it's soul deep. People ask me all the time how I stay motivated. They think it's about hype. They think it's about watching videos or hearing the right words. But that's not it. What keeps me going is what I've been through. It's remembering what it felt like to be at rock bottom, to be invisible, to be ignored, counted out, and disrespected. It's knowing I never want to go back to that version of myself again. That's what fuels me. That's what drives me. Every missed meal, every sleepless night, every rejection, every time I had to pretend like I was okay when I wasn't. Those moments didn't break me. They made me. They gave me a reason to hustle with everything I've got. They gave me something to prove, not to anybody else, but to myself. When you struggle, when you really had to fight just to survive, you carry a different kind of hunger. You're not doing this just for fun. You're doing this because failure is not an option. You're doing this because you've seen the darkness and you refuse to let it swallow you again. You work like your life depends on it, because it does. You stop waiting for the perfect circumstances. You stop waiting for motivation to magically appear. You create your own momentum. You grind when nobody's watching. You show up when nobody's clapping. Because the struggle taught you that no one is coming to save you. If it's going to happen, you have to make it happen. You have to make it happen. And that's why struggle is such a gift. Because it teaches you to be relentless. It teaches you to fight for every inch. It forces you to build discipline. You learn to take action whether you feel like it or not. You stop relying on emotion and start depending on commitment. You learn to lead yourself. You learn to push past excuses, to silence the voice in your head telling you to quit. Because you've already been through worse. You've already survived the storm. So you keep pushing, not because it's easy, but because the alternative is unacceptable. That kind of motivation is unshakable. It's rooted in experience. It's forged in fire. And once you've tapped into that, you become dangerous. You become unstoppable because you're no longer working just for applause, just for likes, just for recognition. You're working from a place of purpose. You've been tested. You've been hardened. And now you're not driven by fear. You're driven by vision. You're driven by what's on the other side of the pain. You know that everything you ever wanted is just beyond the struggle. And that knowledge gives you the fuel to keep going when others quit. It gives you the edge. Most people fold under pressure. Most people retreat when it gets hard. But not you. Not anymore. Because the struggle has shown you who you are. It's revealed your strength, your grit, your resilience. And that's something no one can take away from you. That's your fuel. That's your fire. That's your reminder that you were built for this. You weren't made to coast through life. You were made to climb, to fight, to rise. And every time you feel like giving up, every time you question whether it's worth it, you think about why you started. You think about the people counting on you. You think about the sacrifices you've already made. And you realize quitting is not even an option. Struggle sharpens your focus. It teaches you to appreciate progress, no matter how small. It reminds you that motivation isn't something you wait for. It's something you create through consistent action. The more you show up, the more you build momentum. The more you keep your promises to yourself, the more confident and driven you become. And before long, you're not just motivated by struggle, you are inspired by what you become because of it. So if you're in a hard season right now, don't see it as a setback, see it as preparation. This is your training ground. This is where you're building the hunger that will take you further than talent ever could. You're not being punished, you're being prepared. Struggle shapes your story in ways that comfort never could. Everybody wants to be successful, everybody wants to be celebrated, everybody wants the spotlight, but nobody wants to struggle. And yet, it's the struggle that makes the story worth telling. It's the pain, the setbacks, the obstacles, the moments when you felt like giving up but chose to fight instead. That's what makes your journey powerful. Nobody's inspired by a story that starts with ease and ends with ease. The most impactful stories are the ones where people fall, fail, suffer, and still rise. Those are the stories that move people. Those are the stories that spark change, that give others hope, that remind the world what's possible. You don't get to have a legacy without going through something. You don't get to inspire others without enduring a storm yourself. Your greatest influence will come from your deepest wounds. Your testimony doesn't come from perfection. It comes from the pain you've overcome. And the truth is, the more you struggle, the more powerful your story becomes. Because when people hear that you were broke, that you were depressed, that you were alone, that you were told you'd never make it, and yet here you are still standing, still striving, still shining, that hits different. That's real. That connects on a level no amount of talent or success ever could. See, most people try to hide their struggle. They think it makes them look weak. They think they'll be judged or rejected or misunderstood. But what they don't realize is that the struggle is what makes you relatable. It's what makes you authentic. When you open up about what you've been through and how you made it out, you give someone else the courage to do the same. You give them permission to hope again, to fight again, to believe that they can win too. Your story becomes a lifeline, not because it's perfect, but because it's real. And when you finally start to succeed, when you start to rise, people won't just admire the success, they'll respect the journey. They'll respect the fact that you didn't quit, that you didn't give in, that you kept moving forward even when everything in you said to stop. That's what creates leaders. That's what separates those who influence from those who impress. Because flashy moments fade, but real impact lasts. And real impact lasts. And real impact is built on stories of perseverance and purpose. When I look back at my own life, I realize that the hardest moments are the ones that gave me the voice I have today. Sleeping on floors, being homeless, dropped out, counted out. Those weren't just chapters in my story. They were turning point. They taught me who I was. They taught me how to survive, how to fight, how to rise. And more than that, they gave me something to say. They gave me experience. They gave me depth. Because you can't teach where you haven't lived. You can't reach people if you've never been where they are. And that's why your struggle matters. Because it gives your voice weight. It gives your words power. You might not see it now. You might be in the middle of your struggle wondering why it's happening, wondering what good could possibly come from it. But I promise you, when you come through this, when you're on the other side of it, your story will be the one someone else needs to hear. Your scars will become your strength. What you thought was breaking, you will end up building the most powerful version of you. You just have to stay in the fight. You just have to keep moving. Because the only thing that separates the people with stories worth sharing from those who are forgotten is this: they didn't quit. And even now that you struggle, you're being shaped. Every hardship, every challenge, every sleepless night, it's developing you. It's preparing you. You may not see the full picture yet, but you're writing it one decision at a time, one step at a time, one battle at a time. And if you keep going, that story is going to become something beautiful. Not just because you succeeded, but because you earned it. Because you were willing to go through what others weren't. Because you didn't skip the process. You embraced it. Your struggle is your signature. It's what sets your story apart. And one day, the very things you cried about will be the same things someone else thanks you for sharing. They'll see themselves in your pain. They'll see hope in your progress. They'll find strength in your story. And when that day comes, you'll understand that it was never just about you. It was about who you become, what you overcome, and who you'd help because of it. So don't hide your struggle. Don't run from it. Let it shape you. Let it refine you. Let it write a story so powerful that it lives long after you're gone. Because your pain has purpose. Your journey has meaning. And your story is not finished yet. It's only just beginning.